Welcome back to Ikoria Commander 2020 reviews. Let's get straight into it. On to our next precon. We have Jeskai Colors, Timeless Wisdom, and our front-facing commander is Garvey Nest Warden. 2 colorless, a island, a mountain, and a plains for 2/5 legendary human shaman. You may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token. Reducing activation costs is powerful on any card, and making them free is extra. Making them relevant every turn while providing board presence is upper echelon stuff. Not only is Gavi looking after the nest, but she's going to be looking out for you if you decide to use one of the most recognisable MTG mechanics, cycling. Our alternative commander is Akim, the Soaring Wind. 2 colorless, an island, a mountain, and a plains for a 3/4 bird dinosaur that has flying, and whenever you create one or more tokens for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. 3 colorless, an island, a mountain, and a plains. Creature tokens you control gains double strike until end of turn. Akim likes the tokens more than the feel of a bite seat, but the restrictions of 1 per turn make it less fun to read, but late game go-wide strategies will not complain about the double strike enabler. Next, the unlikeliest of partners, based on the fact that one is a flying shot. I always prefer partners that are on curve and both complement cycling while granting each other a little boost. Don't let the absurdness distract you with these buddies. They will not take long to finish you off if left unnoticed, as if that would ever happen. Force of Will and Force of Negation and Pact of Negation are okay, right? Well, I love powerful cards, but this could lead to a lot of feel-bads. Fierce Guardianship for 2 colorless and an island for an instant. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost, counter target non-creature spell. The threat of untapped mana is scary enough. Fierce Guardianship will be the chase card of the set and played in blue commander decks until the end of time. Up next we have Dismantling Wave. 2 mana and a plains for a sorcery that reads, for each opponent destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Cycling for 6 colorless and 2 plains, discard this card and draw a card. When you cycle Dismantling Wave, destroy all artifacts and enchantment. Scales really nicely with the more players that you have. Then uncancelable instant speed board wipe late game makes a very solid magic card indeed. Note that this could be cast for free off of Garvey's first ability. Next up we have Crystalline Resonance. 2 colorless and an island for an enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, you may have Crystalline Resonance become a copy of another target permanent until next turn, except it has this ability. A dead card in any archetype, but alive and kicking in this cycling build. Any permanent at instant speed alongside the associated card draw. Crystal clear that all cycling decks will love this card. Next we have Surly Badgersaur. Red's answer to Bone Miser. 3 colorless and a mountain for a 3/3 badger dinosaur. Whenever you discard a card, put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever you discard a land card, create a treasure token. And whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, Surly Badgersaur fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Variety is the spice of life, and this Dino Badger love child definitely turns up the heat. Impactful top end with sweet art that allows white recursion. Herald of the Forgotten is a 6 mana and 2 plains 6/6 cat beast with flying. When Herald of the Forgotten enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return any number of target permanents you control with cycling abilities from your graveyard to the battlefield. Every cycle deck will want this unforgettable kitty. Ethereal Forager is 4 colorless and 2 islands for a 3/3 elemental whale with delve and flying. Delve is each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this spell pays for 1. When Ethereal Forager attacks, you may return an instant or sorcery card exiled with Ethereal Forager to its owner's hand. Delve into your graveyard to reduce its CMC, then recur them by attacking with a mystical flying whale. Low floor and busting through the ceiling. Another recurring and self-recurring flyer, Spellpire Phoenix, is 3 colourless and 2 mountains for a 4/2 Phoenix. It has flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you may return target instant or sorcery card with a cycling ability from your graveyard to your hand. At the beginning of each step, if you cycle 2 or more cards this turn, return Spellpire Phoenix from your graveyard to your hand. Poor toughness hurts it, but when it keeps coming back just for playing your deck, seems like fire to me. Next up, we have a Cryptic Trilobite, XX for a 0/0 Trilobite. It enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. The CMC means for each 2 colourless mana, it will get 1 lot of +1/+1 counter on it. Remove a +1/+1 counter from it to add 2 colourless mana. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. Pay 1 and tap, put a 1/1 counter on Cryptic Trilobite. This ancient cost reducer fits the play patterns of the deck, but I do get the feeling that this might find its way as a combo piece in making infinite mana, looking at you Gave or Maraf builds. Next up, we have Agitator Ant, 2 colourless and a mountain for a 2/2 insect. At the beginning of your end step, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. Goad each creature that had counters put on it this way. I've said my piece on the Imtus cycle and goad effects. It encourages fun politics, but useless when down to the last 2 or in a 1v1. Watch the sparks fly in a big pod, otherwise send this ant to the calming confines of the trade binder. Reprints time, and it's a home run. The Locust God is my pick of the Garvey's reprints. Count yourself lucky if you've never seen this in action opposite you. Great payoff with cycling and the most valuable reprint in the set. I also have to bring your attention to another reprint in this deck. Fluctuator is a 2-cost artifact that allows cycling abilities you activate cost up to 2 less to activate, reducing the majority of the cycling costs in your deck to nothing for just 2 mana. See the value of your plays fluctuate upwards. Our Planeswalker. Does this deck create tokens? Yes. Does this deck want you to draw and discard cards? Yes. And a nice little board wipe stapled onto it as the ultimate. We finally have a relevant Planeswalker. Praise the magic gods. To improve this deck, I'd say it's my recommendation, but only if you want to lose all of your friends. We have Decree of Silence. For 6 mana and 2 islands, we get an enchantment that whenever an opponent plays a spell, counter that spell and put a depletion counter on Decree of Silence. If there are 3 or more depletion counters on Decree of Silence, sacrifice it. It also has cycling for 4 and 2 islands. Whenever you cycle it, you may counter target spell. So yet another card that allows Gavi to enable a free counter spell. And if you manage to play the enchantment, and if you manage to get the enchantment down, then silence is what you're here, because you'll be sitting alone without anybody talking to you. And we're on to the 5th and final Ikoria precon. It's Enhanced Evolution. Introducing the new mutate mechanic into Commander. A Trimi heads the deck, providing repeatable graveyard recursion and a big body to boot. A Trimi is a 6/6 legendary nightmare beast with a mutate cost of 1 colourless, a swamp, a forest, and an island. It also has trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, return target creature card with mutate from your graveyard to your hand. Mutate is an alternative casting cost for you to join 2 non-human creatures together. There are many obscure rules, but these are fully detailed on the Wizards of the Coast website. But essentially, they both combine to function as one big creature that has all the text box abilities of each, but the name, the creature type, and the power and toughness of the creature placed on top. A new and exciting mechanic, which I'm really excited to try out with this precon deck. The auxiliary Sultai legend is Zaxara the Exemplary, a 2/3 Nightmare Hydra that has Death Touch. Tap, add 2 mana of any one colour, and whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, create a 0/0 green Hydra token, then put X +1/+1 counters on it. Not promoting the mutate mechanic, but it's still a very powerful creature that has a surprising amount of support in terms of X spells in this deck. The mana production at least convinces me that this is worth keeping in the 99, and while being a strong commander in its own right. Next we have the last of partners. Both benefit each other, and Kazur, Ruthless Stalker, promotes attacking for the rest of the deck. However, it is Yukima that is the star of the show. Excellent mutate target, and when it leaves the battlefield, it can inflict a heavy life point swing. Ruthless. Up next we have the last of the crazy cycle, Deadly Rollick. 3 colourless and a swamp, but you're very unlikely to be paying that cost. Exile target creature. This free instant exile makes it conditionally the best spot removal in the entire format. They were not joking describing it as deadly. Up next we have 3 mutate creatures that are found uniquely in this precon. Souvenir Snatcher is a 4 colourless and an island 4/4 bird with a mutate cost of 5 colourless and an island. Alongside flying, whenever this creature mutates, gain control of target non-creature artifact. A repeatable still artifact seems fun. Keep doing this and your crow will be murdered before you know it. Mind Leecher is a 4 colourless and 2 swamped 5/5 flying nightmare with a mutate cost of 4 and a swamp. Whenever this creature mutates, exile the top card of each opponent's library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. Big flyers should not be overlooked, and card advantage by potentially casting your opponent's cards. Mind Leecher will definitely get into your friends' heads. And lastly, my favourite mutate creature, Saw Tusk Demolisher. 4 colourless and 2 forests for a 6/6 beast with trample. Whenever this creature mutates, destroy target non-creature permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 beast creature token. Terrorastodon has got a new POW. Repeatable removal will demolish the board, and stapling onto a tiny creature will feel amazing. I never knew goats were into politics. This goat Hydra Capricopian costs X and a forest for a 0/0 goat Hydra. Capricopian enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Pay 2, put a 1/1 counter on Capricopian. Then you may reselect where the goat Hydra is attacking. Only the player Capricopian is attacking may activate this ability, and only during the declare attacker's step. It can attack its controller. This card will definitely get the table talking. It invokes an auction to not get attacked, and each bid will make it bigger. Give it protection or trample, and you'll be the only one laughing. Up next we have Tidal Barracuda. 3 colourless and an island for a 3/4 fish. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. While not entirely on theme, this fish could be the catch of the day. A Vidalcan Orrery for everyone, but prevents flash speed on your turn. Expect some huge splashy commander plays when this hits the table. Dread the Mire is a 3 colourless and a swamp sorcery. Each opponent chooses a creature card in their graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Even getting 3 small creatures for 4 mana is a good rate, but it depends on so many factors. Number of opponents, creatures, if any, that have died, and how kind the table is feeling. Could be brutal or just plain dreadful. Another original black card is Boneyard Mycodrax. 2 colourless and a swamp for an XX power and toughness fungus. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of other creature cards in your graveyard. Scavenge for 4 colourless and a swamp. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a number of +1/+ counters equal to this card's power on target creature. Scavenge only as a sorcery. I'm not sure why this isn't in the Symbiotic Swarm deck, as this would perform well in a graveyard archetype. Cool design, strange placement. Our last new artifact of the day, Manascape Refractor. 3 colours for an artifact that enters the battlefield tapped. Manascape Refractor has all activated abilities of all lands on the battlefield. You may spend mana as if it were any colour to play the activation cost of Manascape Refractor's abilities. Wow, a copy of all lands on the battlefield. Situational, but potentially very powerful. This is the type of card design that I like to see. Interesting concept and scope for a big payoff. Hats off. On to my last favourite reprint, we have Propaganda. 2 colourless an island for an enchantment that reads, creatures can't attack you unless their controller plays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. A commander staple, if not on theme, an annoying deterrent and a mana sink for anyone bold enough to attack you. With this card, definitely believe the hype. What's this? Another relevant Planeswalker to the deck? Nissa, Steward of Elements, buys into the X cost card type with Exara. And it also provides some nice filtering to get to the good stuff. Ikoria is packed with creatures that will be playmates to a Trimi. However, Polywog Symbiote helps cast all of them and provides card draw each time you do. Simple but effective. So that leaves us at the end of our reviews. Out of the box impressions, I have ranked every deck from 5th to 1st. Please note that these are just my opinions. However, if you disagree or have different decks that you're more excited to play, please let me know in the comments and why. So coming in at 5th, we have Kalamax the Stormsire. From reviewing the cards, it seemed to have too many that were reliant on and sometimes even helping your opponent. Another drawback is Kalamax needs to be tapped to copy, and within the deck in its current state, that is a risky and sometimes complicated strategy. As its text box states, instant spells, attacking or needing to be tapped, and +1/+1 counters, it's a little bit muddled in the card choices in order to make the deck seem coherent. Despite these criticisms, as mentioned in my recommendations, if this deck is built with the correct copying spells, I believe that this could be the most powerful out of all the precons. Coming in at 4th is Girana Kudro. In the vacuum of playing these right out of the box, Ruthless Regiment seems very powerful. But in terms of inspiring deck building and variation, it's a deck that excites me the least. Attacking and sacrifice themes have done many times before and will be done many times more regardless of what tribe is at the helm. If humans are your things and you're looking to build an aristocrat attacking build, then this is the best precon for you. Coming in at 3rd, we have Symbiotic Swarm. Keywords matter is a simple yet relatively unexplored direction to head in. Cathril encourages value in a colour combination that needed to be more valued. Susceptible to graveyard help, but versatile enough to make even the smallest of creatures feel like plane beaters. Close but no cigar, coming in 2nd is Otrimi, the Enhanced Evolution deck. This precon includes the new and fun Mutate mechanic highlighted in the main Ikoria set. And while narrow in its direction, this deck will provide never seen before experiences amongst you and your friends. And what's not to love about making huge hybrid monsters that will be determined to smash everything in their path. And last but definitely not least, coming in at 1st is Timeless Wisdom. Gavi supports a much loved and powerful mechanic in cycling, and while it is difficult to achieve parity, Gavi seems more focused and developed than the other precons. Highest reprint values, relevant planeswalkers, new cards that seem synergistic and impactful, and also having the best card in one of the craziest commander cycle in years, awards Timeless Wisdom 1st spot in my Commander 2020 reviews. In conclusion, each deck provides options and support in previously uncharted design spaces, despite some occasional questionable card placements and assumptions that you will always be playing with at least 3 players. Ikoria Commander 2020 provides fun decks that are equally rewarding being played out of the box, or as frameworks to create more powerful decks. Great for new and old players. I for one can't wait to get my hands on these sweet decks. Thank you so much for joining me for my Commander 2020 reviews. Hopefully this has helped inform you and give you an idea of what the decks are about. Please let me know in the comments below which deck you're most excited for. and what crazy plays they've enabled to destroy your friends. That's all from me for the time being at Homebrew MTG. Until the next time, cheers.